Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining me again. My name is Derek Wright, co-owner of Houghton Horns, and I'm here to tell you about triple horns. Triple horns are kind of an odd instrument, really. A lot of professionals use them, especially principal horn players. They you see them being used all the time, from the principal of Houston to the principal of St. Louis to the principal of Pittsburgh. It's really common, but in a way, you don't see them used a lot outside of that context. So, what are triple horns and who should be using them? Triple horns, number one, are basically a combination of a double horn and a descant horn. So the horn has a low F side, a B flat side, and a high F or high E flat side, depending on the horn. All of the horns I have here today are high F, though high E flat is popular with some makers such as Engelbert Schmid. So why would you want a descant horn attached to your double horn? Well, it's to make the high register more secure. Not only is it to make the high register more secure, it's to make it easier to get a light sound when you're playing Baroque and early classical music. So pieces from Telemann, Bach, some Mozart symphonies. If you really want that light, effortless, high sound, you're gonna want a descant horn or a triple horn. Now, if triple horns have that advantage, then why should anyone not use a triple horn? I'm getting a comment that YouTube's a little quiet, so I'm gonna turn it up a little bit. Okay, and you can let me know if that is better. So as I was saying, why doesn't everyone play a triple horn? Number one, triple horns are quite expensive. In fact, I think I'm doing the most expensive live stream I've ever done. Between the 3 triple horns that I have, it's a value of about $40,000 to $45,000. And when I add in the other horns I have in the room, such as my doubles and my descant, we're reaching about $70,000 worth of instruments in the room with me. Please don't break into my house. So expense is one thing, but there are also other issues with a triple horn. In some ways, just as the double horn is frankly a compromise on a single horn, the triple horn makes compromises on the double horn in order to make it work. The triple horn has the low register of a triple horn is not as good as that of a double horn. Now, I'm not saying that the low register of a triple horn is unusable or anything like that, but it doesn't quite have the same breadth of sound. So for example, I'll play something low on this triple horn, which is a Kühn W293. And I'm going to play a bit on my double immediately afterwards, which is my normal Medlin double. So as you can see, although I can play in the low register on both instruments easily, to my ear, the triple horn is a bit more closed and not as open and free as the double horn is in the low register. So that's one compromise that it makes. The other compromise has to do with sheer weight. Triple horns tend to be quite heavy. And I don't have any exact weights with me, but I can tell you that the triple just feels a lot chunkier, and it's going to take a lot more energy, especially if you hold the horn off of your leg, just to hold it up for long periods of time. However, again, when you're playing light music, Baroque music, that kind of stuff, you really want to have a descant horn of some type. So for example, if I were to play an excerpt from Bach's Brandenburg on this horn and then compare it to the double, this is what you would get. I'll play a little bit more. So although, again, I can play the excerpt just fine on both horns, the double horn sounds a bit more labored and not as light and as easy as it does on the triple horn. However, this is when we get to another compromise of the triple horn, because let's try the triple horn versus a descant horn. This is my personal descant horn. It is a Paxman 40M from the early 80s. If you want to know more about descant horns, I'm planning on doing a live stream about those next week. Well, there I just learned it's hard to go from a double straight to a descant. But here's that same excerpt on the triple again. As you can see, ignoring the missed notes, it was easier to play on a descant, and it sounded a little lighter and a little clearer on the descant. So if a triple horn is not as good as a descant and the high register and not as good as a double in the low register, why use a triple? It's when you want one instrument to do everything. And this is why you see lots of principal horn players playing them. If you want an instrument that can really move all around the spectrum, that can give you great facility and great technicality, especially for solo players who are often playing crazy, crazy stuff, then a triple horn is where you want to go. Now, when you audition, especially when you're auditioning for principal and high horn jobs at major orchestras, I believe that you really need a descant, because you see things like Bach Brandenburg and Haydn and all of these other really high excerpts come up, and it's going to give you a great advantage if you have a high horn of some sort. And the route that you can take is, the two routes that you can take is play a triple. The advantage of that is that you only have to take one horn on the plane. You only have to worry about one horn and warming up on one horn. You don't have to worry about a possible change in mouthpieces between the two, which we can talk about that more when I talk about descant horns next week. And it's just easier. The other option is carrying a double and a descant with you. And as you can see by the fact that I own a double and I own a descant, I chose that route. Because there are ways, especially with the cases that we sell, some of the smaller cases such as the MBS2, you can take two horns with you on a plane. And although you have to keep up with two horns at the audition, and then you have to worry about switching between horns, which, as you just saw when I was missing a few notes in the Bach Brandenburg, it takes a lot of practice to be able to switch from a double to a descant and back without missing a lot of notes on one or the other. But I still believe it offers the advantage as far as tone quality. But that's not going to be for everyone. That is the choice that I made, and it's not the choice that's going to be best for everyone. So let's talk a little bit more about the specific horns that I have here today. This is a Rico Kühn W293, as I already showed on screen, and I will show again. It's $13,500, so pretty expensive, and it's a used horn at $13,500. New, this horn would be around $16,000. So if you're looking for a deal, this horn is basically a new condition, and I'm a friend with the owner, and I know he didn't get a chance to use it very much. So this is basically a new Kühn for a used price. And I can tell you I like this triple horn a lot, but let's compare it with some others. I'm going to play an excerpt from Bach Brandenburg again, and then I'm going to play Ravel, and I'll play a little Brahms 3 as well. The next horn I'm going to play is a Paxman. So I'm going to have to look at the model number here. It is a Paxman 75.3M. So the 75.3 had some changes and improvements from the 75. This is not their newest model. The newest model is their Centennial model, and that one harkens back to the older Paxman triples from the 70s and 80s. And the main difference in wrap is that those horns don't have a change rotor in the middle of right here by the mouth pipe. The change rotor is down here and not interrupting this tube. Some people like the way the Centennial and the older Paxmans played better than these, but they're also ergonomically more awkward because there's a tube here that really confines your thumb and makes it not quite as pleasant to play. But again, it's a personal choice as to which model you like. So let's talk a little bit about fingering a triple horn. The two triple horns I just played are fingered differently in one very key way. This triple is standing in B flat, while this one is standing in F. Now, most horns you can change to stand in B flat or F, but why that really matters on a triple horn has to do with the way that you go into high F. Many people, including myself, really believe that triple horns should stand in B flat, though it can be a mind trip and it can take a lot of time to learn how to play a horn standing in B flat. That's why I did not attempt Don Quixote on this Paxman. It's because it would have been an absolute train wreck, because I'm not used to a horn standing in B flat. However, here's the reason why. Let me switch cameras here. When a horn is standing in B flat, when you press this trigger, you go down into low F. So let's say I'm going to play a scale in B flat. So I'll start from low B flat, go into F again, and I'm starting B flat right below the staff. Okay, now I'm on the B flat horn and I'm on B flat in the staff. Now when I go up into the high register, I only have to hit one button to go into high F. And most of the time you're going to be going from the B flat horn directly into high F. So when you're fingering the Bach-Brandenburg, you're on the B flat horn, for context, in general, you use the descant, you use the high F horn for A and above. So G is still on the B flat horn, and then you go to A, B flat, B, C, and those are the notes those notes and higher notes would be mainly used on the high F horn. Now, when you're standing in F, okay, I'm going to finger that same B flat scale. So starting on low B flat, go into now I'm at B flat below the staff. I'm going to continue on the F horn. And then I go into the B flat horn using the trigger as you would on a normal double horn staying in F. And I'm going to keep going. Now I have to actually rock the thumb. So instead of just hitting the thumb for high F, I have to rock the thumb to the high F. And that's a very awkward feeling, and it's not as fast as just hitting the high F trigger. So again, starting from B flat in the staff, I have to rock the trigger down to get into high F. So if you're going to play triple horn, I would really recommend that you learn how to play the horn standing in F. That's much easier said than done. There was a very short period, about a summer, when I decided I was going to play a triple horn. And I purchased an Engelbert Schmidt E flat, and I spent the summer trying to learn to stand in B flat, and it did not work out really well for me. Now, if I had to do it again, I think I could do it better. I would work a lot more on technical exercises and etudes and things like that to really become comfortable standing in B flat. But ultimately, I decided to go back to a double horn. So now that we've talked about fingerings, and I've explained away why it was so much harder for me to play the Paxman triple than it was the Rico Kühn, let's go to the last triple that I have today. This is a gold-plated Dieter Otto 185. Now, you rarely ever see horns that are gold-plated. For one, the colors, to me, is kind of close to brass, but of course it has a different character to it. Number two, gold plating something is expensive. Duh. But if you want to go ahead and have your horn gold plated, there's no detriment to the sound or anything like that, and you can have a really blingy horn. Due in large part to the gold plating, this horn is $17,000. And luckily for me, this one is standing in F. So there we go. 3 triple horns. Between the 3, this one had a great advantage in, I would say, technical work. It was very easy to move around the horn. And the ranges were pretty even, at least to my feel. The ranges were even. The Paxman triple had the sound that I liked the most. But again, sound is a personal preference. And I do play a Paxman descant, so in this case, I do have to say I might be biased towards Paxman. And the Kühn W293, just like the Otto, it was light and easy, but with a sound that to my ear was a little bit heftier. However, all 3 of these horns are great. So if you're looking for a triple horn, now's the time to come. We don't get in use triple horns that often. So to have 3 really good ones at the same time is rare. So again, if you are in the market for a triple horn, now is the time to go to our website or come to our store and take a look and consider them. So let's see if there's anything in chat. I don't tend to look at chat during the main portion just because, hey, just in case there's no one listening. I'd rather know that at the end. What's your advice for a triple horn mouthpiece? Great question. In general, the shallower the mouthpiece, the better it will work on a short horn. So descant mouthpieces, like if you're just using a descant mouthpiece, should be shallow and they should have a small bore. With a triple horn, you need something that can do low register quite well and something that can do high register well as well. So again, this is not like an absolute prescription. You must use this mouthpiece or this kind of mouthpiece on a triple horn, because if you find something else that works for you, go ahead and use that. But I find that a mouthpiece that is medium to medium deep and with a bore on the smaller end, so something like 14 to 18, will work best on a triple horn. When you get into deep mouthpieces with a big bore, that favors the low register too much. And if you were going to go on a true descant mouthpiece, so that's something really shallow with like a 20-ish bore, that's going to favor the high end too much. So I hope that answers your question. High, E flat, or F, what are the advantages of each? So the main advantage of an E-flat horn is that, well, I guess there are a couple of them. One is that on an E-flat triple, especially a Schmidt E-flat triple, you can have a longer lead pipe than you can on standard triples. So as you can see, let me switch cameras here. The lead pipe on this triple ends here. The lead pipe on this triple technically doesn't end here because these tubes here continue the taper a little bit, but the taper of the lead pipe is interrupted by a rotor. On an E-flat horn, that lead pipe can be longer. Why do you want a longer lead pipe? Because a longer lead pipe will just tend to help the low register out a bit more and make it feel more like a double horn. In my experience, that is the effect of a slightly longer lead pipe. The other advantage of an E-flat horn is just a logical one. If you go from low F to B flat, you're going up a fourth. To go up another fourth to the high horn, B flat to E flat is another fourth. So each time you switch horns, you're going up a fourth. If you go F, B flat, F, then you go up a fourth to B flat, and then you have to go up a fifth to F. So in that way, the fingerings on the E flat horn can be a little more logical. And the E-flat horn ends up having more use throughout the register. In general, you wouldn't use the high F horn lower than high A, as I mentioned before, because the sound is a little honky and a little hollow. On an E-flat horn, that's not quite the case. So you have more notes that you can have the security of a high horn on, but still have a great traditional horn-centric tone. Now, of course, everyone who plays a triple horn has certain notes all throughout the register that they play on the high F horn to fix things like intonation or technical issues, but there's no standard there. It's just as you practice and play a triple horn, you'll experiment and you'll find fingerings in other ranges that work better for you. Here we go. What mic do I use for recording horn? I have an AEA R88 stereo ribbon microphone. I love it. It's really expensive. But if you can swing it, I would highly recommend it. Okay, so that is YouTube chat. Let me see if there's anything in. And apparently I just can't see Facebook chat for some reason. Oh, there we go. Hello from Spain. Hello to you as well. Bit of an echo right now. I'm sorry about that. I keep playing around with my streaming setup to make things better, and I think Facebook is, for some reason, just echoey. Is this being recorded? Yes, it is. But from some of the comments I'm getting on Facebook, you might want to rewatch it on YouTube. I think the audio is going to be a bit better there. High F versus high B flat. I talked a little bit about that. It's been my experience of deeper mouthpiece helps get a better tone on the high horn. Yeah, that can be true. My mouthpiece, and the mouthpiece I've been using today, is the Veris PF, which is a medium deep mouthpiece. But I'll have to play around with something deeper and see if that really helps the tone on the high horn for me. Play 393X and find that a larger bore balances out triples for daily driving. 12 12 to 14. Okay. Well, if there are no more comments, and it doesn't look like there are. Oh, would you talk a little bit about compensating triple horns? Okay, compensating triple horns, essentially what it does, instead of having a full low F side, you have a portion of a high F side. So when you want to play low F, the air goes through the high F side. Well, let me explain. I think the easier way for me to do it is to explain compensating doubles, because it just came to mind that some compensating triples don't quite work that way. A compensating double horn basically takes the high F side, instead of having a full low F side, let me say the right words. Instead of having a full low F side, it has a portion of a low F side. So in order to play low F, the air goes through the B flat side, and it goes through the little portion of the low F side to create low F. Instead of a traditional double horn where the air is either going through the B flat side and only the B flat side, or the air is going through the low F side and only the low F side. A compensating triple works the same way. So you don't have a full low F side, you have a portion of a low F side. And what that does is it reduces the amount of tubing that the instrument needs, which makes it lighter. Now, if it's such an advantage on weight, why aren't all horns compensating horns? It's because there are a lot of acoustic compromises made in order to make a compensating double or a compensating triple. And frankly, this does not apply to all of them. I have played compensating horns that play quite well, but most, in my opinion, don't play very well. They have intonation issues that non-compensating horns have, and they have response issues. And they have response issues that non-compensating horns don't have. So in general, I would recommend full instruments, but again, there are exceptions. Okay. And did you play on Alexander triples? I'm sorry, I don't have any experience on Alexander triples. Here in the United States, and especially here in Texas, Alexanders are very, very rare instruments. Not many people play on them at all. We don't really have Alexander doubles or triples coming through the shop. Every once in a while, descant horns will see an Alexander 107X come through. But in general, Alexanders are a rare breed here. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for tuning into my live stream. I plan on doing this again next week, though I don't know what time. And I also have to add that my wife is pregnant and we're getting very, very close to the due dates. So these could be postponed for a few weeks at any time. But again, I do plan on doing a couple of live streams next week. One will be on descant horns, and for the other, I'm open to suggestions. Thank you. Bye.